Good morning. Good morning. Hello to everybody who came for this morning Tanya class. It's 5:45, and to be honest with you, it's almost 5:55, and I have to say I kind of slept late today. Yetzirah came this morning and knocks about. I get up like 5:30, 5:35 for 5:45 Tanya, followed by 6:05, 6:10 Shakrit, and Yetzirah says just 5 more minutes. It's only like 4:25, so I got 5 more minutes, 5:30, then another 5 minutes. Next thing you know, so I'm here, and Yetzirah is still in bed. As soon as I get out and got here, Yetzirah is in bed. So what kind of deal is that? That's not fair. Now, our prayer books, we're learning Tanya. This is our lesson number 4 in Tanya. Every morning, injection of the Tanya to get our Shakrit going and the day going better. Of course, everything based for us is based on the Torah. And this Torah we're using, I'm using Art Scroll Torah, which is Hebrew and English. Now, Israelis rarely do that because most of them know English. Then we have the Hasidim, Chabad's prayer book. Here it is. Then we also have Art Scroll, Orthodox Jews, Megnagnim prayer book. Then we have Sephardi prayer book. So pick one and you'll be in good shape. So we're going through Tanya. Beautiful book written by Rabbi Chaim Miller on the history how Rabbi Shneir Zalman of Liadi initiated Tanya, for where he got inspiration for Maggid of Medrash, ultimately Baal Shem Tov, and even before Baal Shem Tov, it was coming from Ezekiel and all the way to Moshe Rabbeinu. So, introduction to this book, I find it even more interesting than the book itself. Can I say that without being excommunicated? I don't know. Anyway, we come to a chapter 1, and a chapter on page 27. There's 3 volumes of this. This is a big volume, thick, and there's 2 thin volumes. And according to the explanation, Shneir Zalman wrote actually in reverse. This one, the book of Benoni, the in-betweener, the book of in-betweeners, or 4 in-betweeners, he wrote later, but then as he was circulating manuscripts for several years first, which people read eagerly, and then ultimately he gradually evolved the book. And as we discussed yesterday, the big battle between Vilna Gaon, school of classical Judaism, if you will, and the Hasidim was about that machloket came. Vilna Gaon didn't want even to receive Hasidim to talk to him. That, listen, they are diluting Judaism, they're introducing new ideas, new levities, new simplicities, that's going to destroy it. That's what his view. He was very, very, very negative against Hasidim. Then within Hasidim, also other groups of people, some felt that, listen, we're not doing anything wrong, we're still going by the Torah, we learn Torah and a very big emphasis on Kabbalah. Talmud, Gemara, Mishnah, and Gemara also was not disregarded, but basically we have to reach out to masses of people who are not scholars and may not be knowledgeable, like me, not knowledgeable very much. So for the masses, if you sit and talk to them, the attributes of God and what Mishnah says about this, what Mishnah says about that, what's the difference between Tractate Zivachim and Tractate Bava Basra, and why the same Mishnah appears many places. People say, I have so much problem. 300 years ago in Poland, I don't have my cow just lost giving milk, and my field was repossessed by the Russian Cossacks, and the last thing I need is to go and pray. I've prayed enough, and look what happened. So he was coming with this is not America of today, or today is a balagan in America, but there was an America where you can sit with a cup of coffee, relaxing, and in your back porch with a fountain going and a bird singing, and you can study with a group Torah and Talmud, and wonderful, so much easy. I wish the life was easier, of course, but the life was tough. You had to duck pogroms and duck persecutions, and you have all sorts of things. And so what do we do? And just to tell them, well, you have to pray. That's good. You have to pray, of course. But if you only do that and you don't do something specific for me, which is different for my neighbor, which is different to my friend, which is different to my family, then you need to have a guidance. I mean, a rabbi had to become a psychiatrist, psychologist, who can reach out and understand. So Vilna Gaon didn't need that psychiatrist. He possessed the unique characteristics of a talented, great scholar. But most people did not. And so Baal Shem Tov's idea was to bring into the masses, to reach out to the people who needed more specific problem solutions in their life. So based on the Torah, based on God, how do I approach God? How do I connect with God better? With the goal of ultimately not only to understand God, which is of course an important step, but also to make my life a little bit easier, or even to accept, to understand, how do I deal with the fact that I never know when another pogrom will come? How do you handle that? Many followers of Hasidim, one of the two subgroups, if you will, immigrated actually in Israel. They were Zionists. Well, there was a religious Zionists, and that was we're talking about 1800s, 1850, 1860. They immigrated. Another group didn't immigrate. Like, for example, Rav Zalman of Liadi, the founder of Chabad, didn't go. So people will say, listen, you're doing all these wonderful things, but while other people not as interested to help people, and yet by their action, by example, they're making aliyah. If you're afraid of Cossacks, if you think we're all in peril, or go to Israel. Well, it's difficult to Israel. Well, it is difficult, but it's not that easy today either. So that group sometimes actually will report this levity of Hasidim approach to the Torah to the authorities, Russian authorities. They would arrest the Rebbe. Rebbe was arrested, unfortunately, by being reported to authorities by their own brethren, their own Hasidim, who didn't exactly agree with his particular interpretation of the Torah and the ways to approach it. So he wrote all his struggles, all this basis in the Tanya, and he tried to make it practical. It's not really written that easy. It still talks about reference to the Kabbalah all over, reference to the prophets, reference to the Torah all over. But it says here, I'm reading from Rabbi Chaim Miller's, the Tanya is not fashioned as a question and answer book. The author does not share with us the issues that had been posed to him by the community. And many chapters of the Tanya appear more theoretically than practically orientated. But here, in the author's introduction, the author wishes to make clear that despite superficial appearances, the content of the book is based on the tried, in quotes, and tested advice offered to real people. So his point is, I'm going to bring the writings, Tanya, based on the real situation to my close group of followers, which nowadays would be the leaders of the Hasidic movement, and then the seventh Lubavitch Rebbe, the final Lubavitch Rebbe, essentially brought it out to shluchim, to the messengers around the world. Now there's like 4,000, 5,000 shluchim all over the world. I mean, probably on the moon already there is a Chabad. They will be more focused on teaching, on understanding correlation between esoteric values and real life. And they will bring it out to people who basically have to get up in the morning, go to work, and come home late to make ends meet, and have supper and pray in between 3 times a day, and go to bed tired, wake up in the morning and go to work again. So they didn't have time for hours and hours to sit and study classical texts. So book becomes the manual for this special group of people. But the real people also will study when they have time. Maybe they will not study as much as the rabbis and the followers, but they will study it some. And by rubbing this knowledge off, a better world will be in process to become a better world. That's what he says. Consult local scholars and, in quotes, they will instruct you, which is reference to Deuteronomy 32:10, how instruct sages and your judges. And then he said here, Shneir Zalman says, and to those scholars, I urge you to forthcoming with advice. Do not to place a hand upon your mouth, Proverbs 30:32. To God forbid, act with false humility and modesty. Claim that you do not know the answer when in fact you do. So don't be too afraid to express the knowledge that you have, to guide people. Not to say, well, I really don't know, just see what happens. If you avoid helping people, the learning of the Torah really is negated by your inaction. Okay, yes, guys. Any questions from this group? Ah, yeah, I already covered that. Okay, what about you guys? Same. All right, then we'll almost conclude. So we'll go to Shakrit in a minute. Here. Now, which, by the way, nusach you'll be using? Sephardi, Ashkenazi, Mignagdim, whichever one. I say here, many of these errors, in quotes, had in fact been intentionally introduced by copyists hired by the opponents of the Hasidic movement to discredit the author. Well, that I find very unfortunate. You know, how can you do? I mean, this is not emet. That's not truth. If you don't like somebody and you try to knock him down because of falsifying what he's saying, even though maybe he's genuinely wrong in your opinion or something, but using the methods of falsifying and reporting to the authorities and then telling other Jews that that's what this book says, that's such and such all incorrect things, that's stealing. That's violation of Torah precept. You're stealing. You're making you're putting stumbling block in front of the blind. So that's the introduction. That's up to page 27 of this wonderful book. I recommend you guys to go on the internet if you can and buy it. This is how it looks again. Okay, it says Practical Tanya, the Practical Tanya, Rabbi Shneir Zalman of Liadi, adapted by Rabbi Chaim Miller, Gutnik Library of Jewish Classics. I know where it's published. And by the way, you like to see, I have a picture here of the 5 Rebbes. So for the morning quiz, man, you probably recognize immediately Shneir Zalman in the center and the 7th Lubavitcher Rebbe, who is on the picture on the left. Maybe on your view it's on the right. But who are the other 3 guys? And why there are 5 of them and not 7? That will be a quiz of the morning. If you know, send me your question after you review this video, and tell me who are the pictures, Rebbe's number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Who is 1? Who is 2? Who is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? Anyway, so have a good morning. And so today is Wednesday, January 31st, 2024. And tomorrow at 5:45, let's make it 5:44. Or if you're really sleepy, make it 5:46. We'll be here. And all of you, 1, 2, 3, how many we have? It's not supposed to count Jews, but we have about like 16, 15, 17 people today. Let's make it to 20 tomorrow. All right. Shavua Tov. And let's go to Shakrit now. So far, this beginning of Shakrit. And if you, like I said, if you want to use this book, you're welcome. It's not forbidden. You're not going to be excommunicated. We have to unite, guys. Unite, not split. Wake up and sing. Smell the coffee. Smell the Torah. Smell the Tanya.